There we go. All right. Okay. Turn that off. Let's hop in here. How's it going? What is happening? How's your Wednesday treating you? We're in Dublin, and we're going to fly from Dublin to Shannon first, and then down to Cork. First leg will be about 100 miles. Second leg will be 50 miles. We're going to fly VOR to VOR. So let me bring this up first. So this is little nav map. Let's see if this works. Did you get it? I got a preview up on the top there. Yep, there it is. So this is a little nav map, and this is because there were problems with the VFR map in the sim. I went ahead and downloaded this, and it's super, super cool. I'm really glad that I downloaded it. The VFR map is fixed in the sim now, but I'm glad that I downloaded it. So what we've got in here is this will import a flight plan from Flight Simulator. So what we've got in here is VOR to VOR, and one of the big problems that I have with Flight Sim is it doesn't have frequencies for anything. Some of it does automatically, but other stuff you just what are you supposed to do? So our first frequency is it's Delta Alpha Papa, and it is 111.20, and this little nav map has all the information. So we go to Whiskey Tango Papa, and we got 116.30 all the way. So when you're flying VOR to VOR, this is information that you really need, and you can't find it in the sim, but you can find it in little nav map. So I've been using this a ton, and we can follow along. I'm not going to necessarily fade into this every time we use it, but I will be flipping back and forth to it off screen, off camera. I'll be using it as we make our flight. This is called Little Nav Map. It's freeware. It's beta for MSFS20 at the moment, but it's well worth having. I definitely recommend it. So let's get back out of this. So we'll go here, right? And then I'll go here. We are in the Cessna, and if we hop inside, reset track IR. Let's take a look at fuel first. I don't think we're going to need a ton of fuel. Half tank for 100 miles, I think we'll be okay. So we are going to be flying VOR to VOR, and that means we can stay low, we can see some scenery, we can do some different things, and we can land wherever we want. We can even skip Shannon. If we're good on fuel, we can even skip Shannon and go directly to Cork. And I set the time for 5 p.m. so we'll be able to see some things and also see the sunset. So that is what's going on there. All right, let's get started. Battery on, alternator on, avionics on. Get rid of this momentarily. Let these power up. Turn these warnings off. Let's get some ATIS going. There we go. And I'm going to click to another channel. We'll be able to see this scrolling by, but I don't necessarily want to listen to it. And our altimeter, 29er, 9er2, so we're good there, and we're good there. Okay. Fantastic. Dublin clearance, that's what we want. And we want IFR clearance for instrument flight plan. I guess that's us, right? Six 6,000 feet. You got it. Now they're giving us 6,000, but I'm going to drop way down once we get airborne. I want to drop down to about 2,000 feet. All right, so that is that. For the moment, we'll get rid of that window. Go here. Okay. So looking around outside, we don't have quite enough room to turn around, so let's get some pushback from these two people. One of them is on the cart, the other one is like in the cart. Fantastic. So brakes off. And let's get back on the radio and request pushback. Pardon me, I just bumped the mic. There we go. Request pushback. My desk is so crowded. I do bump things, and I do apologize. I know that's crazy loud on your end, but I don't know what else I can do. I need more. I need more arms. Not on my body. I mean, I need more things like suspended over and up and around my desk so they're off the surface. All right. So we'll get a little pushback here. I'm learning some things about lights too, lighting in aircraft. I had a habit of just turning everything on, right? Everything I possibly could, just turn it all on. But it's not necessarily how it's done. So I think we want to go right back, right about here. Not here. There we go. Set the brakes again. Let's get this thing started up. Fuel is on both, right? Throttle. Just a little bit of throttle. Fuel is good. We want beacon on because we're going to start the engine. Clear prop. Right? We good? We're good. All right, here we go. So what I'm told is you want to turn your beacon lights on before you start the engine so the ground personnel know what's going on. Strobe lights you want to leave off. They can be very distracting to other pilots and personnel. We're going to turn our taxi lights on because we're getting ready to taxi. And we can turn our nav lights on. Landing lights we want to leave off till we're turning onto the runway because they're super, super bright. And strobe lights, like I said, we want to leave those off. So 14 degrees Celsius. We're going to turn some pitot heat on anyway. We don't need any interior lighting. Altimeter is set. Altitude is set. Let's get some frequencies in here for nav. So I'm going to hop back to the little nav map. You're not going to see it. But our first, we go here. Our first beacon that we want is Delta Alpha Papa, and the next one is Whiskey Tango Papa. So let's get those put in. Stand by. Be right back. Whiskey Tango Papa. So this one is 1120, 1630. So we go back here, and we're going to put in 11120. If I can find the trigger, they're tiny, and what I'm realizing is my track IR drifts around just enough that it's impossible to keep the cursor in these little triggers. If I had a button box for everything, come on, where is it? There it is. If I had a button box for everything, this would be one of the things that I could just dial in. What did we say? 11120, I forgot already. 11120. Right, so that's that one. Swap that, and then this one is 11630. 11630. Okay. So our first VOR is Delta Alpha Papa. That is in, and then the other one is Whiskey Tango Papa, and we can swap that one over as soon as we get moving. So we go here, VOR. We want this on, nope, don't need that yet. Back out there, PFD, right? That one, right? And then over here, right? Back this out a little bit. And I think that's us ready to go. Owen, what's happening, my man? How you doing? I think that's us ready to go. Okay. Request taxi IFR, and where are we taking off from? Runway 28L. So I'm going to hop into little nav map again and see how we get to 28. I think it's going to be all the way over and around. Yep. All the way over and around. Okay. So we'll turn around and then just take this all the way around.
Dublin ground, Cessna November 1313 with Yankee ready to taxi IFR.
Okay. They didn't really they didn't really give us any direction on how we're to get there. So I guess we can just get there however we want. But if we, oh, I gotta acknowledge this first. Yep. All right. Take off flaps. Turn the yoke back on. Get rid of this. And here we go. So it looked like if we get on this taxi stripe right about here somewhere, there it is. If we get on this one right here, let me back this throttle off a little bit. If we get on this one, yep, we can just take this all the way around. All right, so we got a minute. We're gonna kind of go around the edge of the airport. We'll get there. So the reason we're flying this flight, I got a question in Discord. I was asked, are there airports in Ireland? And the easy answer is, I guess every airport in the world is in this game, like 37,000 airports. But that's a really vague answer. Like, yeah, every airport in the world is in the game. Yeah, but are they? Are they really? And as far as I can tell, just about every airport in the world is in the sim. So we're gonna fly over some scenery in Ireland today. See how realistic it is. See how accurate it is. All right, and we want to stay right around the edge. The perimeter. All right, there's like a stair cart out in the middle of nowhere. And we're looking to get around this way. Yep. Around here. So if we can, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Landmarks. I need to find my way. All right. So over this way, and I think this is, they're calling it 28 left, but I just saw 28. Interesting. Okay. I'm almost positive we're headed where we're supposed to be headed, but no guarantees. Yeah, I think it's right back in this corner. And if that's 28 right over there, yeah, we're okay. And TNP is all good. TNP is all good. And so I think right back here, yep. Is 28, is it? This is 28. This is 34. Moment. Take a look at the map. That's 28. 28 and 34. Okay. So 34 is out that way, and this is 28 right here. Even though it's marked as 34. Take a look. Tower. Yeah. I guess we're there. All right, here we go. Get rid of our cursor. And yeah, this is 2.8 sort of back behind us. And to the right. Yeah, there we go. All right, get on the center stripe here. We do have takeoff flaps set. We do. All right. Try to get on the center stripe here. There we go. Airspeed is alive. There's 80 knots. Rotate. There we go. Positive rate. We'll get up around 1,000 feet, start doing a little housekeeping.
Contact Shannon Center on 132.15.
All right, going to carefully level us out. All right, and take care of that. Landing lights off. There's that.
Shannon Center, Cessna November 1313 is climbing through 900 feet for 6,000 feet. Cessna November 1313, Shannon Center, continue to Delta Alpha, Papa and plan. Altimeter 29.902.
All right. So Delta Alpha Papa is the little marker just sort of off the end of the runway, and that is indicated by, so we get the skinny arrow down here and then the skinny arrow right there. So if we bring our heading around, like so, and then like so, it's going to bring us around to that VOR, and then from there we'll turn west and start heading that way. I don't know if this is exactly the procedure, like I don't know if this is exactly how it's done in real life. What I'm doing is a combination of like my own trial and error, what I've seen in videos, and what I've read. So I'm not in any way suggesting I could like hop in a plane and do this and everything would be great, but it seems to be more or less how it's done in real life. So essentially each of these VORs is giving us a signal to steer toward, and by linking those together you can fly from anywhere to anywhere as long as you've got those little transmitters, and you can do it without using GPS. So I'm trying to do more and more of that. I don't know. I mean, ultimately I'd like to be able to fly the way I've seen people fly online, which is like 500 feet, and they're flying from reference point to reference point, like visual reference point to visual reference point. I think that's amazing. Bump the power up just a little bit, and we're only climbing at 500 feet per minute, but we're a little bit of bit of struggle right now. All right, and they're taking us to 6,000 feet. Once we get established, then we will see if we can come back down to just a couple thousand feet. You can even see the scuff marks on the window. Wow. The level of detail in this game is really amazing. All right, so we're 1 mile from Delta Alpha Papa now, and what I'm going to do is swap this over to, what's the next one? Whiskey Tango Papa. And that is kind of southwest. So if we make our turn here, right? We don't have a signal yet, but if we make our turn here and just start heading in that general direction, at some point it will populate that field, and then we'll have a point to steer to for our next marker. All right, so that's good. That's good. Let's see if we can get 3,000 feet. No, decrease. What? No. I love this game, but it's so broken. So we're supposed to climb to 6,000 feet. We requested a 3,000 foot decrease, and now we're like locked into 11,000 feet. I don't want to fly to 11,000 feet. Yeah, let's do this. Yep. Squawk 7,000. Maintain VFR. All right. So let's get off of there. Let's get onto here. All right. And then we're going to descend to 1,500 feet. There we go. All right. There we go. Chipmunk, what's happening, man? How you doing? I'm fantastic. We just need to get down under this overcast here so we can see a little bit better. Yeah, the ATC in this game it's one of the reasons I want to get VATSIM going. Yeah, man, I heard you. All right. It's one of the reasons I want to get VATSIM going. It's because the ATC is just so broken. Yes, I do have the Stream Deck set up for like core functions, I guess is the best way to say it. I use it for my lights. I use it for vertical speed on the autopilot, because for vertical speed you have to, right, like you dial in what altitude you want to go to. We want to go to 1,500, so I put 1,500 in here, but until you activate the vertical speed and then dial in how fast you want to climb or descend, it doesn't do anything, which I guess is the way it is in a real aircraft. But it's kind of tedious to like peck at these little buttons as track IR is bouncing you all around. So I put that on the Stream Deck. All right, Owen, How did Microsoft and Asobo do? Does this look like Ireland? Is it convincing? What do you think? Yeah, that works for you? I was watching a guy fly into Leeds, I want to say, in the evening. And as he got low on landing, you could see a football pitch with the lights on. I didn't see any people playing, but it would not have surprised me if I did. Like, I don't know if you can see this traffic down here. Yeah, the level of detail is just really sick in this game. It's amazing how realistic all this looks. And I'm not quite on a potato, but I'm by no means on like a weapon of a system, and I can still render it this well. Unbelievable. Unplanned expansion? Yeah, I hear you. Now, I don't know if these farmer fields do different things at different times of year. It's mid-October, so I'm guessing a lot of these would be fallow right now, but I don't know if they change during the year, if it has that level of detail. It wouldn't surprise me. All right, and I'm noticing we're about 40 miles out from our next nav tower here, nav point, and has not populated yet. And I'm curious why that is. Wasn't planning on flying directly into the sunset. I can't see anything out there. Yeah, this is the thing that's still really messing with my head are the smudge marks and scratched plexiglass on the door. That's amazing. All right, so we're just about down to 1,500 feet. I gotta hop in here and take a look at one more nav point. It's this one. 113.30. So we want to go up here. We want to make this 113.30, and that'll be our final one into Shannon. I don't know if it supports VR at the moment. I haven't. Yeah, I wouldn't want to say either way, but I haven't seen or heard of anybody using VR for it, and that would make me think that it is not VR ready at the moment, but I could be wrong. Yeah, this is a bit perplexing to me. We've got the frequency in for Whiskey Tango Papa, which is our next point. We're only 35 miles from it, and it really should be like putting an arrow in here for us. I'm very curious why it's not. I mean, we've got the GPS and the backup on the other map, so we're kind of cheating. But would be nice to see it in there. And you know what? I've got this set for 1,500 feet, but let's go a little lower. Let's go 1,000 feet. Just to see what level of detail we can see. And I don't even know what kind of witchcraft they're using for this, but I mean, all these buildings they're 3D and then they're wrapped. I can't even understand. Like my mind can't understand how they're doing that in real time. And we're hitting about 50 FPS. It just doesn't seem possible. There's hay bales, straw bales in that field. What? You've got to be kidding. Yeah, I could just fly around in this game. I mean, sometimes I do. It's not even really flying that we're doing right now. We're on autopilot. I'm just looking around. Oh, I gotta be careful not to. There's no hard collision on the window, so I can like stick my head out here and try to avoid that. All right, so we're 30 miles from our nav point now, and it still has not populated. I'm curious if it's ever going to populate. We're on nav 1. This is nav 1, nav 1. I mean, it's reading the signal, it's just not populating it. And I don't understand why. VR. Yeah, unknown. Unknown. And how are we doing on fuel? It's all right. It's all right. This plane has, I want to say it's a couple hundred miles. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how long it took, and I don't know what it cost, but it's got to be. I mean, if Rockstar is spending $100 million to make games, I I can't imagine. And the thing is, it's not, when they're making a game like this, they have to know it's not going to sell like GTA 6. It's not going to sell like a Call of Duty title. It's going to be a smaller, more obscure game. So for them to put that kind of money into it is, I don't know that I would consider that the best investment. Yeah, this is completely immersive. There's nothing that I'm looking at right now that is in any way pulling me out of the sim. This is completely immersive. All right. Yep, something's wrong. Let me, I don't know, maybe I can cycle this one time and see if it clicks. Try that. It could be that we're too low. No, because I mean we are getting the signal. It's just not giving us the arrow. All right. Yeah, so I guess it's at least in the UK. I don't know if it's in other parts of the world, or maybe it has a different terminology, but it's VRP, Visual Reference Point, and it's VFR for sure, but you fly from like the end of the bridge to where the two highways cross, things like that, like absolute visual reference points. Yeah, they just had a patch yesterday or this morning. I don't know. It was very recently. It was within the past 24 hours, and it addressed the VFR map crash. So you can open the VFR map now without the game crashing. And they also they were calling it the ghost cockpit, but basically like all this stuff that you can hit with the cursor and make things happen, that would all just stop. So you could still, the plane was still flying and you could still control it with your flight stick. You just couldn't do anything inside the cockpit. And I'm going to turn some lights on here. Inside lights. Like that. All right.
Squawk 7000. Frequency change approved Cessna Tree 13.
Dublin approach.
Dublin approach Cessna November.
Flight following, yep.
Is type Cessna Skyhawk 6 miles east of Echo India Charlie Lima. Request flight following.
Cessna November 1313 Dublin approach. Squawk 1331.
1331. You got it.
Cessna Tree 13.
Cessna Tree 13.
All right, and that populates down there.
East of Echo India, Charlie Lima, 1,100 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
2992.
Copy
Yep,
Cessna Tree 13.
that's us.
Cessna Tree 13.
So things like that.
Center on 132.15.
Hang on. All right.
132.15.
So now we're going to Shannon.
Shannon Center, Cessna November, 1 tree, 1,000 feet.
Cessna November 1 tree, Shannon Center. Continue as planned. Altimeter 29.902.
All right. I saw probably hundreds of airports when I was looking at the map. Most of them are small, but there's airports everywhere. And in fact, if we go here, let's see. If we go here, yeah, I'm not seeing any at the moment, but there were airports everywhere. And in fact, you know what we can do? Hang on. If we go here, nearest. There we go. Yeah, there's EICL, NPR. Yeah, there's 3 airports right now within about 10 miles of us, so they are everywhere. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I was saying the sim claims that it has 37,000 airports globally. So I guess like every real airport in the world is represented in the game. I keep calling it a game. It's more of a sim, for sure. More of a sim. And we never, for some reason, this never populated. Whiskey Tango Papa, we're about 18 miles from it right now. And it just never gave us that arrow. I feel like I did something wrong, because the one at the end of the runway popped in no problem. And yesterday I flew Frankfurt to Innsbruck, VOR to VOR, and everything populated. So I feel like I did something wrong. But it is, I mean, the signal is there, it's just not giving us our little arrow. No matter, we got the GPS, we can kind of follow along there. I do like that these are all real buildings. They're not just generated scenery, random scenery. Like, all of this represents real stuff. And I guess that's what makes it possible to fly reference point to reference point, is all of this stuff, like all the highways and everything, is actually, it's really there. So you can use it for that kind of flying. And there's a term I've heard people using, I want to say study grade or study class. But apparently for an aircraft or a piece of scenery or whatever, for it to be okay to use that to practice to be a real pilot, it has to qualify at like a certain whatever. It's got to be legit if you're going to use it to try to be a real pilot. And there's some things in the sim that are not quite at that level yet, and then other things that I guess are. So we'll see. I also, every now and then you'll fly across some really broken scenery, and I haven't seen a ton of it yet. I've seen a little bit of it, but I'm not looking for it like I want to tear the game apart or anything. It's not like that, but I do keep an eye out for it, just to see, areas of improvement, that sort of thing. All right, so we'll switch over. We're about 15 miles from Whiskey Tango Papa. We'll switch over when we get there and go to that last VOR, which is right outside Shannon. We'll fly in, depending on how we're doing on fuel. Oh, you know what? Hang on. We're always doing okay on fuel. Oh, look at that. We've used like 10%. Nah, we'll be okay. What we can do is, as we get close to Shannon, let's request a touch and go, and then we'll head to Cork. Because we're not really, it's ATC. I figure if ATC is a little bit broken, then we can a little bit ignore it, right? I would be happy to use ATC all the time if it was perfect, but it's, France and Spain, yeah, definitely. A lot of people fly out of Gibraltar, because I guess that's some really classic, really good scenery. So I see a lot of flights. I saw a guy yesterday fly from, where are they flying from? Charles de Gaulle to Canary Islands, Ibiza, or Tenerife or someplace. But that's supposed to be a good flight as well, in like a 737. The airports are all accurate, but not all of them are hand built. So the hand built airports are they're really CPU, GPU intensive, but they're very detailed and they look fantastic. All the airports are accurate as far as where things are, but the quality of the textures is sort of generic. So, right, like the terminal is where the terminal would be, and it is the size and shape of that terminal, but all the details aren't there, and it doesn't look very good. But it is where it would be. So I guess if you're a real pilot and flying in there, you can use that to sort of get your bearings or whatever. So I'd say probably 99% of the airports are just kind of procedurally generated to be accurate to that real life airport, and then the remaining 1% are hand built. And they're making more and more that you can buy that are hand built. It's getting a little turbulent here, a little bumpy. Modders and companies are already making like third-party scenery that you can install on third-party aircraft. There's not a ton of it yet. The game's only been out for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, but it's starting to pop up. And I think that's where those study-grade aircraft are going to come in, is from third-party. Yeah, Heathrow's hand-built, JFK, LAX, and then you can buy a hand-built. Let's increase our altitude here just a bit. Looks like we're getting into some foothills. Climb a little bit. There's a hand-built San Francisco. There's a hand-built Leeds, maybe Manchester. So yeah, I'd say the biggest airports around the world and the most well-known are hand-built, and then the rest of them are just kind of, I mean, they look good, but you can see a difference. The nice thing is they don't kill your frame rate like LAX does. Although they do seem to have optimized the game since it's released. I feel like I'm getting, if not better frame rate, at least more consistent. All right, and when we swap over to this last nav frequency, it's going to give us a distance to Shannon. When we get within about 20 miles, I'll get them on the radio and tell them we want to do a touch and go and see how that goes. Never done that before. Yeah, some of the shadows are looking a little, I don't know, they to me they seem a little bit unnaturally kind of dark, but that's a ticky-tack complaint. Definitely, I'm not terribly bothered by it, just kind of making the observation. Interesting. All right, the ground is like definitely coming up to greet us here. What are these foothills, Owen? Just outside of Shannon. Hang on, let me drink some water. My voice is going funny. Just to the east of Shannon, what are these foothills? Yep, I was not expecting this at all. And I believe this plane has a radar altimeter. Maybe. We'll find out when we do our touch and go, but I thought it did, and we haven't got the 500-foot warning. So maybe we're okay. All right, so looking on the map here, we're just about to get to Whiskey Tango Papa. We never did get our nav arrow. And in fact, with the sun in my eyes, I can barely see these. Let's go ahead and jack the brightness on those a little bit. Yeah, we never got our arrow. And yeah, still good on fuel. Oh, that's a nice effect with the mist down between the foothills. And I think we probably want to go another. Let's go another 1,000 feet up. All right, so we're passing over Whiskey Tango Papa now, so we'll swap over to our last one is Shannon, or it's just outside of Shannon. It's not the airport proper. It's just right next to it. All right, so this one populated straight away, and we do have our arrow here. I don't know why that other one didn't, but we can put this one, because we've got a 4-knot headwind, so we're really not being blown sideways. So we can put this right on, I guess, 250 and fly straight into Shannon. Yeah, they are. I mean, I see a little bit of banding up here, but not terrible for the most part. It's really, really smooth. And again, this is on a 1660 Ti. You know, it's a decent card, but it's not a great card. And we're on, the game recommends, is it high or very high for the settings? I want to say it's very high, not ultra, but the game recommends very high for my system. Like, that's what it dialed in for itself. And other than a few really big airports like LAX, I can hold north of 30 FPS in the whole game. And at a place like LAX with a lot of lights on, maybe 25. But I have to say I'm surprised by the performance. I thought with this being a brand new state-of-the-art game that it would just absolutely beat up my FPS, and it seems to do okay. You know, we're all trying to future-proof our systems, and I feel like developers are trying to future-proof games as well. You know, they're making games that are not going to look like trash in 2 or 3 years. So they're going to be too demanding on systems when they're released, but then systems will catch up to them, and the game won't end up looking bad. But on day one, you know, The Witcher, that's going to beat up your system, but this one really did not. I have heard people say that even on super, super high-end systems, there can be some FPS problems, but I feel they've optimized the game over the past month. I think they've improved it. All right, we're let me see. Still another 50 miles to Shannon, which is about 20 minutes. So we'll give it 10 minutes or so, and we'll get them on the radio, request a touch and go, and then be on our way to Cork. Yeah, exactly. I was doing a truck stream yesterday, and I saw, for cattle and crops, I saw people really kind of arguing about the frame rate in cattle and crops, and that it doesn't matter how good your system is, the game runs kind of slow. And people were pushing back saying like, hey man, I got a potato system, and on low graphics, I do fine. And the response is, sorry, I just realized when I laughed, I like moved my head forward. People were saying, yeah, that's to be expected. Any game, any sim, if you've got a low-end system, that's what the low setting is for, so you can run it at all. But the high setting is for people that have high-end systems who want to get the most out of their high-end system. So every game should run on low settings on the low-end system. The problem with cattle and crops is it doesn't run on high-end systems with the high settings. It's like 30 FPS is all you're going to get out of that game. And I hadn't really thought about that before, but if you've spent, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 building a computer to play games on ultra settings, if you get a game that has ultra settings, you expect it to run, you know, 120 FPS, 4K, the whole deal, and to look great. So to say that, you know, well, I can play this sim on low settings on my low-end system, therefore it's well optimized, I don't know if that's what that means, or if that's what that's supposed to mean. All right, we cleared those foothills, so let's drop back down a little bit. get back down to, let's go, because we're going to need to do a bit of an approach. So let's get down to, say, 1,500 feet. And we'll get under these clouds and overcast. Oh man, I don't know. The company that they've hooked up with, UIG Toplitz, is not just in farming simulation, but like in games in general. They're a really terrible company. They make some of the worst games. That's not me saying that. They make some of the lowest rated games on Steam. I feel like they're one step above companies that make smartphone games, smartphone apps. They're really terrible. And the thing that concerns me about that is it tells me that, this is going to sound horrible, but it tells me no decent publisher wants anything to do with Cattle and Crops. And that, because the developers of Cattle and Crops have to know how terrible UIG is. Everybody knows how terrible UIG is. And that they would involve themselves with that company, this is just my opinion, but what that tells me is nobody else wanted to invest in Cattle and Crops. And the developers of Cattle and Crops were so desperate for money, they were willing to involve themselves with a company that has that bad of a reputation. I don't know of any, man, I don't even know of like casual console sim farmers that like Professional Farmer or Farmer's Dynasty. Everybody hates those games. They're terrible. And to hook up with a company like that, man, I don't know. It just seems like a really bad idea. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I can't imagine that Cattle and Crops is going to turn into the farm sim that we thought it was going to turn into. And there were a lot of things they promised on, well, they promised all through early access and the development that are not going to be in the game on day one. And there was another conversation about that I saw, that you can't call your game V1.0 if it's not feature complete. And maybe if there were one or two things that you wanted to put in it that you left out, you could still kind of sneak by and say it's V1. But when you leave a lot of things out, then it's not feature complete. If it's not feature complete, then it's not V1. There's no, you can't get around that. If it's not done, it's not done. Yeah, I prefer being down low. Even if it's just 1,000 feet of difference, I really like all the detail you can see when you're down low. All right. Yeah, we're not getting blown off course at all, so I think we can just stay on this marker that we're on and take this all the way into Shannon. I'm so glad I got track IR when I did. I got it for this game. I really did get it for this game, but I had no idea what a difference it would make in terms of just how natural it feels and just the ability to like look around like you do when you're in a plane, right? And I think, no, okay, that's something else. I saw a shadow and was trying to figure out what was causing it, but I was way off. All right, so that aircraft. I'm going to hop in little nav map for a second. I'm not going anywhere, but you won't be able to see the difference. All right, so there is a multiplayer aircraft, another player that just flew past us, left to right and above us, and I believe they're going to turn and land at Shannon, maybe? They're sort of right out here somewhere right now. Yeah, I've seen I've seen several people say that you can go, is it here? Yeah, I don't want to click this because I don't want to lose control of the aircraft, and I've never done it before, so I don't know how many tick boxes there are or whether it just happens automatically. But apparently once you put your flight plan in, whether it's VFR, IFR, whatever, you can just tell the autopilot to fly everything, or your co-pilot, because we've got, see, when you look at this seat now, it's empty. But when you go outside, right, we got a co-pilot. So if you tell your co-pilot to fly the whole flight, they will, and you can just spend the entire flight looking around. You don't have to do anything. All right, and we're, yep, just a little bit. I mean, that's, to me, that's also a crazy amount of detail. We've got a 4 knot, essentially it's a headwind, but it is just a little bit right to left, and it has blown us a little bit to the south of our course. Yes, it is multiplayer, and so there's a mode you can launch in where it's supposed to have every real plane that's really flying in the real world. But it also has air traffic control. And one of the questions was, well, how the hell is that going to work? Because if you're flying into a place like JFK or Heathrow or Charles de Gaulle, those are incredibly busy airports in the evening. Planes are landing like 2 minutes apart. So when is it your turn? Like, how would they fit you in between real aircraft if they're landing 2 minutes apart? And so it doesn't work. It doesn't work badly. I just don't think it works as well as they intended it to. So with multiplayer, you can set it up so it's just you and multiplayer and no real world traffic. And then that can also carry over to VATSIM. And I think, is that us? No, that's somebody else. And then with VATSIM, I believe VATSIM can also integrate, it's not just cross-platform compatible, it's like cross-sim compatible. So I can be in VATSIM in Microsoft Flight Simulator 20, and somebody else can be in VATSIM in FSX. And air traffic control just sees us as planes. It doesn't matter what client we're playing on individually. They still see us just as planes on a map. So I think that's a great way to, I don't know, bring more people into a map and give it more, that there's more going on in the map when you've got FSX players and Microsoft Flight Simulator 20 players. I don't know if you can also have X-Plane players in there at the same time, but it's just a way of getting more multiplayer people on the same map at the same time. I really prefer that to the built-in traffic that's supposed to be real-world traffic, and I definitely prefer it to the built-in air traffic control, which is, it's not there yet. It's it's broken. It was broken in FSX, and it's broken in MSFS20. It just abandons you sometimes. I was flying into JFK, had to declare missed approach, and they told me to climb back to altitude and then just never spoke to me again. Like, now what do I do? They didn't, send me out to one of the radials and try to get me back into a pattern or anything. It just went silent. So, yep, ATC is, I think VATSIM is probably where it's at for everybody. And I wonder if they didn't intend that all along, and that's why the ATC is sort of not complete. Is they don't really intend to complete it. It's better to just bring something like VATSIM in. And when I see Little Navmap, I'm curious why Little Navmap was not part of the game from the jump, right? Because the technology, the information for all those different airports and navigation points, it's out there. And it's a small file. It was like 100 meg or something. I mean, the game is over 100 gig. So the idea of adding 100 meg to a 100 gig game, it's a no-brainer. So even if it's a 100 meg database of airport and navigation aid information, why wouldn't you put it in? It just makes it so much easier. And having things like the nav frequencies populate automatically when you request an ILS landing. Just make a tick box so you can do it manually if you want to, or have it populate like the Squawk does. So when they give us a transponder code, this little code right down here, every time we fly from one airspace to the other one and it gives us a new transponder code, it populates automatically when we do our readback. So make everything like that. I mean, it does it with the radio frequencies too. I'd just like to see it happen with the ILS frequencies. Right, so we're 25 miles out. Let's dial up Shannon here and see what we can do. Here's the airport list. Yep. Oh, and if you're there, these are the airports that are close to us right now. There we go. To Shannon Tower. Request, touch and go. Never done this before. Hope this works out. All right, here we go.
The November 1313 is 26 miles northeast with go for touch and go.
Cessna November 1313 Shannon Tower. Fly left traffic, runway 6. Altimeter 29.902 wind 275 to 7.
Yep. No worries, Owen. It'll be up. Let me see. We're 60 minutes in. It'll be up on YouTube. Just jump in from 60 minutes. You'll be able to see the rest of it. Thanks for stopping by, brother. Appreciate it.
Enter left
All right. Acknowledge pattern entry instructions. Left. Downwind runway. Okay. Wind is 275 at 7. So downwind is going to be. Oh God, I got to do head math. 275. So downwind would be, we are downwind right now essentially. So we're just going to fly down runway 6 downwind, then we're going to turn 180 degrees, come back and do our touch and go. Is that correct? I'm not a real pilot. I'm not a real pilot, so I don't know if that's exactly what we want to do. I think it is, but hey, it's just pixels, man. We can't go that far wrong. And we're not great on fuel. We're okay. We're okay. So let's get rid of this now. We're still 20 miles out. So we got a minute to like sort this stuff out. How are we doing on fuel? We're at 30% fuel. We started on half a tank. We started at 50%. So we've used about 40% of our fuel going the first 100 miles. And we have 50 more miles to go, which means we would use another 20% of our fuel. I'm going to leave it rather than adding fuel. You know, that feels, it's not quite like cheating, but you know what I mean. We didn't take it with us when we took off, so we can't add it later. All right. Let's hope for the best here. I'm going to hop in NavMap for a minute. I'll be right back. So 275. Right? So that's this way. And then we're going to, yeah, okay. So we're going to go downwind runway 6. Right? And then we're going to turn 180 degrees. So we want to be, I want to be north of our course right now. So if we go back in here, I'm going to move us over this way a little bit and get us north of the course. Oh, there's a bit of a foothill right in front of us. All right. So we'll clear these, but they were behind the cowl. I didn't see them till we were nearly on them. All right. So we're going to turn north of our GPS course. And then we'll continue on staying north of that. So when we make our downwind turn at, that would be 240. When we make our downwind turn at 240, we'll be west of the runway, and then we can make a nice 180 degree turn to upwind on my side, right? And I always prefer to make my turns to the left rather than the right, so we're on the side with the good visibility. Okay. And we are, what, 15 miles out now? All right, this is all coming together, all coming together. And from 3,000 feet, I don't think we'll be able to see the airport yet, but we're getting there. 10 miles is typically when I can spot an airport. All right. Gonna hit the coffee again. Oh, it's the good stuff. And what time is it? 2 in the afternoon for me. Probably going to be a little bit late for me to be this deep into the coffee. But I can't stay away from it. All right. So we're crossing over that. And it's going to be right out there. I mean, we are looking like directly into the sun. That doesn't help. All right. So when this little arrow right here gets to 240, and we're going to turn to 240, and that, in theory, will take us straight down the runway on our downwind. We hope. All right. Right out there. And do we have, you know what? We might. We might. If we're going to right here. 4. Yep. 110.95. Okay. So if we go here now, 110 decimal 95. Okay. So we'll have some ILS information as well. And I don't think we'll need it, but you know, I don't mind it. Can't hurt, right? Okay, so our marker for Sierra Hotel Alpha is just about to hit 240. When it does, we'll make our turn. Yep, I don't know if we're doing this exactly according to like real life procedure. I want to learn that stuff, but for now it's just a lot of trial and error and just doing what I see people doing in videos. And probably, I don't know, 80% of those are flight sim, but about 20% of them are real pilots. All right, so if we turn to right about now. And it says we're just over 9 miles out. And I'm going to start concentrating a little bit, so I might be talking a little bit less. Yep, there's the airport right in front of us. And so we want to be over this way a little bit. I think this is our airport right here. Yeah, with the sun right there, it is really tricky to pick out details. I think it's right over in here. So I'm going to descend to 2,000 feet. This is it. Yeah, it's right in here. But I can't see any runway lights. I can't see anything at the moment. right, so this is going to be 240. So let's get us on 240. And yep, that's just about right. Man, I don't know what people did before this. Is this FLIR? I don't know what this is, but I don't know what people did before this. They had to do all this stuff manually. That's mental. Unbelievable skill set. Yep, it's going to be right out here, but I still don't see any lights. I don't see anything down here. And I can't pick out any detail, and our visor is not operable. Yeah, I mean, I can just barely see like the indication of a runway right here. It'll get clearer as we pass. So the sun is further over relative to this. We'll be able to see it a little bit better. Yeah, you can pick it out now. Okay. So let's go. All right. All right, so we found the airport and our downwind leg. This is our downwind leg, is it not? Yeah, our downwind leg is good. And we'll get out here over the water and make our turn for our touch and go. Back the throttle off just a little bit. And I don't see any other aircraft on the map. Still good on fuel? Yeah, I mean, we're going to be on fumes by the time we get into Cork, but I'd say that's all right. They did say runway 6, right? Yeah, runway 6, okay. I said 240 so many times I forgot. Thought maybe they were trying to put us on 240, but yeah, it is runway 6. Okay. So we'll head out over the water here. And we can also, let's wait till we're a few miles out and we'll switch over to 110.95 is our ILS information. And we can fly that in for the touch and go. And then from there, you know what? Plane's pointed straight. We're pointed straight. Let's go to Cork. Just right down here. So that is 119.300 on a 167. Okay. So we'll go back here now. What I'm going to do is after this touch and go, I'm going to put us on 167.
Traffic runway 6. 127
Beautiful.
Touch and go runway 6 Cessna 313.
All right. So that's good. So switch this over. And I'll go out about 5 miles. That's about right. And while we're getting there, I can go here and we go back to Cork. It is. Nope. There we go. That's what I want. It is 114.6. So we go here, 114.6. Okay, so that's good. And it's going to be on the 167. We'll do that after we do our touch and go. And we're just about 5 miles out. All right. So that autopilot is off. There we go. And I'm not seeing anything for glide slope on our instruments. I mean, I see the localizer, but I don't see glide slope, so we'll see if we get some reds and whites. All right. I've got no glide slope in the Garmin, and I'm not seeing any
500.
glide slope lights down below. Okay, and we do have some kind of I don't know whether it's radar or just altimeter based. We do have a 500-foot warning. This is not the prettiest. All right. So then we want, what did we say, 167? So let's get up here, get back to 1,000 feet. We'll start making our turn on the 167, and we'll get Cork dialed in and make our way there. All right. Fuel, yeah, it'll be tight, but we'll make it. Concentrating, focusing. All right, so right in here somewhere. Right, about like so. this all set up like so. All right, that's going to level us out. Beautiful. All right, so there's Cork, 50 miles away. We do get, great, we get our little marker. So let's get this dialed. And in there somewhere. Right, put that on heading. And we want 1,500 feet. So we're good there. Landing lights off, right? Strobe, nav beacon, good there. Pitot heat is on. I believe we've got enough fuel to make it another 50 miles. See if we level off at 1,500 feet. I believe we're going to. And we want...
Shannon Tower, Cessna Tree 1 tree, cancel
Well,
landing into
we did our touch and go.
Cessna Tree 1 tree, your cancellation is received.
All right. Shannon approach.
Shannon approach Cessna
go.
November 1 tree is type Cessna Skyhawk 4 miles southeast of Shannon 1,500 feet. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace.
Cessna November 1 tree, Shannon approach. Squawk 6073.
6073.
607 tree, Cessna Tree 1 tree.
Cessna Tree 1 tree,
There's 6073.
southeast of Shannon 1,600 feet. Cleared through the Charlie airspace.
Cleared through the Charlie airspace.
That's
Cessna
us.
Tree 1 tree.
Beautiful. All right. Everything's going okay so far. So far. Let me drop us down to 1,500 feet. That's working out well for us. So we'll go here. And there. Okay. So that's good. And these are on. These are off. Landing lights off. Okay. And we've got just under 50 miles to go to get to Cork. And we don't have our GPS to sort of use as a reference, but we do have the, is that a VOR or DME? ADF? Whatever it is, we got it in our Garmin here. So we're just going to head straight toward Cork. When we get a little closer, we will request a full stop landing. And we'll see how it goes. Oh, that's better. We're not flying directly into the sunset anymore. Is that... wait, what? Oh, it's reflected. Couldn't figure out why we had two sunsets. That is... God, that's the detail, man. The detail in this game just... It makes my head hurt. So this is a reflection of the sunset off the side glass as you would get in real life. Well, you know what? They got all that detail. They don't have a visor. Give me a visor or something to stick up there. All right. Everything else is good. Everything else is good. Can turn these down just a little bit. Turn these up just a little bit, like so. All right. And I think we're going to be okay on fuel. I mean, we'll be in the yellow, but I think we'll be okay because we've only got another... We've got, okay. We don't have any ETA because we don't have a point in here yet. We could add it. No, I don't want to do that. We could add it. And if we go here, if we go to Cork now, runway 16 and runway 34 in Cork both have ILS. I like ILS. I don't know if you're picking up on that. I do. Yep, that's it. That's all we got for the rest of the trip. All right. When I look at some of this scenery, some of this detail, I wonder at what point did they decide that it was working? Because you can't test like every single one of these. You can't look at every, like you just can't look at every possible combination of scenery rendering to know that it's working well. So there had to be some point where they had rendered enough scenery and confirmed the outcome that it's like, yeah, this works. This is what we're going with. But I do wonder what that point was. Because I guess it does this for the entire planet. Or at least for the parts of the planet that have been scanned and kind of surveyed by satellite. But you know what I mean. It's the entire world. Who would have thought, man? Whoever would have thought that you could have a video game that could render in detail, in reasonable detail, everything on the surface of the Earth. What a world, what a world. I love it. All right. It's the downside to track IR. I can turn it on and off if I want to like turn my head to do something. I never do that. Seems unnecessary. And yeah, no more real foothills between here and Cork that I can see. There may be some right up here. We'll find out momentarily. And we do have a bit of a right to left crosswind, so I'm going to kick us over this way just a little bit. Yep, I've avoided the 172 until last week, and that was in FSX and in X-Plane. I just was never really into the 172. I don't know why. I like the Beach Baron. I like the King Air. I really like that Dare TBM in MSFS20. I like the Learjet in FSX. I like the MD-80 in X-Plane, but never really got into the Cessna. But there's no reason not to like it, and I definitely get why it's the most popular plane in the world. It's just, I don't know, it's sort of the perfect combination of everything, and it's definitely easy to fly. I mean, I know it is in sim. I think it is in real life as well. Look at these scratches. I don't know what it is about these. And even like the swirl patterns, the circular patterns. Because I'll tell you what this is. Somebody was cleaning this window and there was a little piece of gravel or sand or a little piece of metal or something. And they ended up with these scratch marks. That's exactly how that happened. But for them to include it in the sim and make the plane kind of lived in, you know, and not perfect. I really like that level of detail. All right, what do we got? 38 miles. And Cork is right on the ocean, is it not? Yeah, it's on the sea. So we will... We'll have to see how these runways line up. I guess I could take a look at Little Nav Map. Hang on. Take a look right now. So we go to Cork. Yeah, the runway is lined up almost exactly perpendicular to the coast. So I guess they did that to get the prevailing wind coming in off the sea. So we'll see if they want to put us on the 160, where that's almost straight in. But I don't know if there would. I don't think you can have like a VFR landing straight in. I think you have to fly a pattern. Even if we do have the ILS information, we'll try to do it the right way. Well, the timing on the sunset was perfect. When I fired up this sim earlier to test this and make sure everything worked out properly, my local time, stand by. All right. Now it's leaving airspace.
Frequency change approved Cessna Tree 1 tree.
To Shannon Center. Request flight following.
1 tree is type Cessna Skyhook 16 miles south of Echo India Charlie November. Request flight following.
Cessna November 1313 Shannon Center. Squawk 1142.
1142.
1142 Cessna Tree 1 tree.
we go. 1142.
Contact 17 miles south of Echo India. Charlie November, 1,500 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
That's
Copy,
us.
Cessna 313.
Okay. Oh, this is nice. Getting some color in the clouds. Yeah, when I tested this, my local time made it about 5:30 p.m., 17:30 in Ireland, and the sun was just beginning to set. So even though it was an hour later when I started the stream, I did back the time off manually to make it just after 1700 when we started the flight, so we'd get the sunset. That's that golden hour, man. That's when things look the best. And it looks like, I can't really tell. Some of these windows, it almost looks like the sunset is reflecting off the front of these windows. I can't tell if I'm really seeing that or if it's just a coincidence or I'm imagining it or something. But if that's in the game, like I said, man, that's just sickness. It's it's like my mind can't even process the level of detail that I'm seeing. I don't mean to go on and on about the game, and it's by no means perfect. I think those might be animals in that field right there too. Oh man, are you kidding me? Yeah, I think those have to be. They're not spaced out regularly enough to be hay bales or straw bales or something. I think those are meant to be animals. And then right there as well. Yeah, I don't mean to go on and on about it, and it is by no means a perfect game. There are plenty of things that can be improved, and they are being improved. And we're getting low fuel warning. I would estimate we've got another 12 to 15 minutes in the air. I think we'll be okay. I hope we will. It's not a perfect game, and there is room for improvement, and they are improving it, but it is amazing. It's an absolutely just remarkable achievement. Props to you, Asobo and or Microsoft. Good for you, man. Something positive about 2020. There's some more little critters right down there. Don't stare at the traffic too long. The traffic is not great. I think it's going a little too fast, and it sort of bounces around the road a little bit. But other than that, all right, we're 28 miles. 28 miles. All right, I'm gonna reset track IR. There we go. It does drift a little bit. No, that's not right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, the glare on the inside of the plexi side window that's really tripping me out. And you can see some detail in these fields. I mean, when people call this a VFR simulator, I guess this is what they're talking about, because I could do this for hours. And you can do it on like any continent you want, right? It doesn't just have to be. I fly a lot in Alaska. I've been flying up and down the East Coast. Raleigh to Washington, D.C., Washington, D.C. to Boston, routes like that. Fly a lot from Geneva to Innsbruck, Munich to Innsbruck, Frankfurt to Innsbruck, but it can be anywhere. Seriously, like any place on the globe you can fly and see this level of detail. And I'm guessing that all of the terrain and all of the little, I don't know, details, they'd all be different. Yeah, look at this. You can see texture in this field when it was harvested. It's amazing. Get rid of this cursor. Yeah, I mean, if you know Farm Sim, so you got your lengths and then you got your headlands. What? No. That's too much detail. My mind is blown. And we're in the yellow, we're not in the red. And we're about 24 miles out. So we'll give it another few miles. And we'll call Cork and do a full stop landing. And the sun is just about low enough that it's going to be, we could consider it to be full dark. So perfect timing on that. It really worked out. And we are, we got that right to left crosswind, but we haven't blown off course significantly when we're still pointed directly at our marker. So, all right. And our runways were what? 160 and 340. If they put us on the 160 rather than flying straight in, let's do a full racetrack. And I'll try to do that manually rather than just spinning the heading dial on the autopilot. That's no fun. And I'm doing my best to keep the cursor off the center of the screen. I mean, to me it's distracting, but the really distracting thing is when it starts grabbing one of the tooltips and kind of popping up there. That's us. All right. Cork approach. Cork approach. Contact Cork approach. Yes. Continue as planned. We don't really have a plan. So let's go nearest airport list. Cork. Cork Tower. Request full stop landing. Okay, so we are going to fly runway 34. We are going to land south to north. So we want to be, as we get closer, we're going to move over a little bit to the, I guess, the west. And we'll fly our downwind leg as we did at 160, make the turn out over the sea, and then come back in south to north to 340. Okay, so let me hop on little nav map and get our ILS, which is 109.15. We'll come back here, 109.15. All right, so we're good there. Fuel is, we'll be all right. We'll make it, but I would not want to be this low in the future. We should have gone like maybe 10% more fuel. And yeah, let's wait till we're about 10 miles out. Maybe wait till we can see the airport. And then we'll slide over a bit and get us on that 160 for our downwind leg. All right, reset that. So we may get to see some lights come on. I don't know. Yeah, maybe a little bit. There's some lights right there. Is that road lit up? Yeah, I think it is. Flying at night in this game is, I wouldn't say that you can see the same level of detail. I think you see less detail, but it's more striking. You know, more dramatic. All right, we're 15 miles. Seeing an airport. Seeing an airport? No. Maybe? No, I mean, it would be directly in front of us, and I don't see anything yet. But it's typically, for me, it's typically about 10 miles when I see an airport. All right, more animals. Yeah, I don't typically fly this low, but seeing the marks in the fields from the mowers and tractors, that's really trippy. It really is. And being as into farm sim as I am. Oh, here's a little foothill. Now, that's probably less than 500 feet, and we're not getting any type of RA warning, so I think we don't have an RA. I think the 500-foot call out, I say 500 meters or 500 feet, that's less than 500 feet. And we didn't get any kind of call out. So I think the RA call out that we get when we're landing is just based on pressure. It's just an altimeter call out for landing rather than, yeah, reverse that. It's not a radar altimeter call out because we don't have a radar altimeter. If we did, it would be sounding 500 feet right now. That's less than 500 feet, I think. All right. So no airport yet. Unless that's it right here. And it may be. So let's head over this way. And if we do, I think, like that guy flying into Leeds the other night, I think we may be able to spot some football pitches. I believe that's what both of these things are right here. At least this one over here is. Man, I want to fly closer to it. Let's do it. I want to fly closer to it and see if that's what it is. And not stick my head through the glass. Is it, you think? I think so. He said you can spot them just by the way they're lit. Is that a football pitch or a park? Hard to say. And where's the other one? Is there another one right down here? I think it's directly under us. Yeah, because that looks like, yep, tennis courts. Damn it. So if those are tennis courts, then that would be a football pitch. Fantastic. I love it. Glad we got to see that near the end of the trip. All right, so let's get over this way. And we're looking for an airport right about here. This is our airport, I believe. This is a little bit sloppy. We would have wanted to be well west of the airport. If someone was landing on the 160, we would be flying right through their approach at 1,500 feet. So pretty sloppy. But this is all the stuff, I mean, the way you figure out how not to make mistakes is by making them. So I wanted to get over there and look at those lights, and took us down a little bit too low, too late in the flight to be dicking around like that. But live and learn, right? We know for next time. Oh, this is great. The timing of this, I know I've said it a couple times, but the timing of it is perfect. Could not have worked out better that we got to fly in daylight and with the sunset and with the clouds and now with the lights coming on at night. Perfect. $60 I paid for this game. I didn't get the good one. I didn't get the extended version because I didn't know how good it was going to be. And I really should have. There's 10 other planes and 10 other airports I could have got. You can upgrade to it now. They finally fixed that in the game where you can do that, and I need to because I want those other airports. All right, so this is the 160. We'll get to the west of this. We'll make our turn to 160. We'll fly out over the sea and then come back on the 340. And I think I just saw, yep, off here to the right now looks like another facility, but this one looks like it's got about a half dozen fields. All right, so let's put us on the 160 here. And if we complete our turn in time, I think we're going to look right out the window. Yeah, we'll fly right over this. Oh, there's two of them. And that looks like high school, maybe university right there, with a track. Oh, this is crazy. If you live in Cork, how accurate is this? Can you spot these places? Like, do you know what these places are? Amazing. All right, and I didn't want to be flying right down the runway. I wanted to be to the west of it. When we made that turn, I thought that would put us west of the runway. Yep, I know I am really cheesing the autopilot. You should be flying this manually. Well, you could fly it on the autopilot, but properly, not the way I'm doing it. This is really, it's abusing the autopilot. The autopilot is not intended to fly the aircraft. It is intended to reduce your workload while you're doing other things. And the way I'm using it right now, I don't have any workload. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not talking to ATC. I'm not doing anything. I'm just using the autopilot to fly the plane. And apparently that's frowned on in the industry, in the business. All right, there's 160. We'll make our 180-degree turn. We'll get on the 340. We'll get this thing on the ground and we'll call it. And I think we're going to be right about 2 hours. So that is perfect. And we'll flip this over. All right. And that is, looks like India Charlie November. Let's just confirm that. So I'm going to hop back in. Yep, India Charlie November. Thank you very much. So we'll do that. And 275. So yeah, let's just fly right out here to the sea. We'll come off the autopilot. We'll turn 180 degrees and put this thing on the ground. And I think, yeah, because we're 1.5 miles from the Piano Keys. Yeah, let's go 5 miles. That's always a good number for me. And fuel is, I think we'll still be in the yellow when we land. We won't quite be in the red, but it's going to be pretty close. So this is, I just want to keep looking at these. I just want to keep finding like mower tracks in the fields. Is that a bad thing? Is that wrong? Yeah, and none of this looks, I have to think this all came from satellite imagery. None of this looks contrived or hand drawn or anything procedurally generated. This all just looks like it came from satellite imagery. I mean, it would have to, because the alternative would be that somebody like drew these fields by hand, picked which ones they were going to put stuff in. That's impossible. This is, somehow they were able to wire mesh all this stuff and then wrap it with textures that they pulled from satellite imagery and Street View. Unknown. I don't know how they did it. It's witchcraft is what it is, man. It's madness. All right. So right out here. It's 4.5 miles. Like, yeah, I would love a hard collision here because I try not to stick my head out the window. I'm just looking behind me as I would. Yeah, I think that's about right. All right, let me get my headset adjusted here. Reset, like so. Reset like so. There's 5 miles. All right. Coming off autopilot. Here we go. That's that's a bit steep. When we made our turn on final at Shannon, I didn't quite Yeah, sort of did it again. Didn't really line us up properly. I think I wasn't, my racetrack wasn't far enough over. So let's go down here. Landing lights on. Yep, back on. Some flaps down. We do have glide slope now. And we are well underneath it for being 5 miles out. It's all right. And we did get clearance to land, so we're okay there. And yep, I can see the lights from here. They're all red, so we're definitely too low. But we're not descending, so we'll just make our way. Yeah, glide slope is coming down on the Garmin, and we're going to look for 2 whites. There's 1 white. And there's 2 whites. Okay, so we're on glide slope now. We'll start descending. There we go. Still 2 white, 2 red. Three white, so we're a little bit high. We're a little bit fast too. This is a bad combo. I keep cutting power to slow us down, but I keep dropping the nose to get us back on glide slope. There we go. 2 white, 2 red. And hopefully when we level out, we'll bleed off a lot of this speed. All right, 3 red, a little too low. 2 white, 2 red.
500.
Two white, 2 red. There we go. Yeah, a little porpoising at the end there. All right. So let's find a taxiway. The action looks like it's over there. Over there to the east. So let's look for a taxiway. I don't think I'm going to taxi all the way to parking. So let's come down here. Oh, I turned my landing lights on. So I guess I had them off when I landed. It means we had them on before. I don't know. Like I said, make all these mistakes now. That's how you learn not to make them later. I am not going to contact ground. What I'm going to do is pull right up over here, set the parking brake, and call it. Right over here somewhere. I got to get the radio open because they're going to start yelling at me. There's your ground handoff. I did. I just did. There we go. There's that. So we will turn off taxi lights, strobe lights, nav lights. Engine is still running, so we want our beacons on. Cut fuel and ignition, and then we can turn off the beacon light. Quiet you, like so. Avionics off. Let's turn all these lights off. Alternator and battery. That turns the flashlight on automatically. Pivot around here to the front of the plate. All right, we're done. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for checking out the live stream. See you next time. Take care.